All right, so Conference USA, Florida Atlantic is the top overall seed. And this tournament's in Frisco, Texas. Start Wednesday in the first round. Championships on Saturday. FAU's the 1 seed. The 2 seed in the bottom half is North Texas. UAB is the 3 down there with North Texas. Middle Tennessee and Charlotte will play in the 4-5 game, which is also a quarterfinal matchup on Thursday. Those top 5 teams get a bye into the quarters. The first round matchups, your Western Kentucky Hilltoppers taking on UTEP, FIU taking on La Tech, and Rice taking on UTSA. The saddest thing that I've been waiting for this bracket and was watching the standings because I wanted to bet UTEP against Rice because the Rice coach Scott Parra was the most obnoxious celebration I've ever seen in my life when Rice hit a game winner against UTEP. Was waving them. UTEP wouldn't shake their hands. He was talking shit to UTEP. He was celebrating with boosters. It was obnoxious. The quotes from UTEP after that game where I was like, I cannot wait till they play. If they play, and they couldn't be further apart in the bracket. It sucks. I'm gonna have to wait till next year. Maybe we get a UTEP Rice final, and then I can get my revenge. But I don't think that's gonna happen. So FAU's the favorite here, plus 145. UAB and North Texas evenly priced, right around plus 250. Charlotte 14-1. Middle Tennessee 18-1, and then you're down 100-1 territory. Let's start first teams playing the first round. I mean, I hope you're not going to make a case for Western Kentucky. La Tech, not this. I mean, they lost since losing Kobe Williams. They are not the same team. They have 1 win. I think it was in overtime over FIU, who they will play in the first round. Rice, who has the opposite of depth. They have no depth. They have no chance of winning 4 games in 4 days. They'll take on UTSA. Rice has also been fading. UTSA is one of the worst shooting teams in the country, but they're still playing hard. But anyone in that that's playing the first round worth a flyer will be crossing them all off.
I wanted to maybe get interested in UTEP, but I don't like the draw at all. So I'm not going to bet any of those. I think the winner's coming from the top 3, and unfortunately the prices are factored in there. I don't love the value in this one. I'm just going to bet the unders. That's the plan, Stuck.
Yep. Well, in the top half, so if we assume FAU is going to get by Western Kentucky, the winner of Western Kentucky, UTEP, although, those teams have talent, right? I mean, yeah, but FAU they're kind of built for a tournament setting with how they come at you. But
I literally wrote in my notes, this is a tournament team with the depth and the multiple scores. It just makes sense.
Yeah. So they're going to play, if they get by their quarterfinal matchup, they're going to play the winner of Middle Tennessee, Charlotte. My thoughts on that matchup, can you trust Middle Tennessee away from Murfreesboro? No, right? And they need to get to the rim. Everything they want to do is get to the rim. So theoretically, away from Murfreesboro against Charlotte, Tony Elliott, Disciple, Pack Line D.
Did you say Tony Elliott?
Tony Elliott. Tony Elliott, Tony Bennett, Disciple. I kind of like Charlotte in that game. I just don't trust Middle Tennessee State away from home. Can Charlotte ugly up the game enough against FAU and just make that a shitter as they want to do? Or does FAU just have too much talent?
They've tried in the first meeting at FAU. It was a 59 possession grind fest. It was close in the final minute. Charlotte cut it to 2 with a minute left. And FAU hit a couple big shots late. I think they compete there. Whatever the number is there, given how slow Charlotte's going to make that game, I think there's some intrigue on betting the dog and taking the points with Charlotte if they get there. And I'm with you. Middle Tennessee, outside of Murfreesboro, but a totally different team. So yeah, I think Charlotte is there and competes.
Yeah, that was the only potential long shot that I was looking at, because the other thing is that, what do you want from a potential long shot? And Charlotte's what? 14-1. It's not a super long shot, but since I like them in the first matchup schematically, then they're going to have to pull off a couple upsets, but they grind the game down, right? So limited possessions, higher variance. They shoot a ton of threes, and they're pretty good from 3. So just get a bunch of threes up in a limited possession game. If they get hot, then that's kind of what you're looking for in one of these dogs. And I just don't see anyone else I trust. But you're right. It's probably going to come. That's the only team that I would potentially look at if you're looking for a longer shot. If we assume that FAU gets to the final, I agree with you that it looks like, I mean, FIU La Tech, winner that, I don't think can beat North Texas. Rice, UTSA winner, I don't think can beat UAB. So one of the games that I would look forward to the most out of any matchup, this kind of reminds me of like a Charleston Towson I can't wait to watch tomorrow. UAB North Texas will be awesome. Assuming that we get that matchup. North Texas swept them during the regular season. One of them, I think, went to double overtime, but UAB is playing excellent now. Jelly Walker's back, fully healthy. Their half-court offense is now, like, usually it's like, hey, we need to get out in transition. Because their half-court offense is now playing really well, which is important against North Texas, because you want to talk about a team that will turn games into an absolute shitter. Sad we can't get North Texas, Charlotte in this arena. What would the total be? 98?
Those two played a 47 possession game, Stuck. Charlotte.
What was that? That total was 108, right? And it went under, I think.
Yeah. Like they have played some absolute slot fest. It would be very funny to see them with this shooting background too in this gym. It'd be like 45 possessions and no one makes a jump shot. It would be gruesome.
I remember like Virginia totals used to be like, some of them got down to like 104. Do you remember that? Those Virginia teams?
I looked this up. There was, I think Virginia Navy was 100.5 like 5 years ago. It was disgusting. And I think it snuck over, but then they had a game with Maine that was 104 and was like 46-26 final. Like, just ridiculous.
Yeah. That elite Virginia defense and their offense wasn't that good. That they would have, I remember all those totals, but yeah, I think that's the lowest one I've seen in a while. I think it was North Texas, Charlotte, right? I think it was 108 this year.
Yep, that was the one.
Yeah, so we're not going to get that unless Charlotte makes a run to the championship. Then you'd have tired legs too. Third game in 3 days. Oh my God, that total might be 98.5. North Texas, UAB. Like, a lot of people, if they're in pools, if you want to take these two teams are priced similarly, they're probably going to play each other in the semis. Number one, who wins that game, or you don't know, and it's a complete toss-up, but who do you favor?
I kind of lean UAB. I don't know for sure what Kai Huntsberry's status is for North Texas. He sat with an ankle injury. He was dressed in their finale, so I think he's going to be fine.
Because they didn't need to play for anything, right?
Yeah, they were locked into the 2 seed, couldn't go anywhere. And hey, they still beat WKU by a bajillion points in that game, so that was a bit of a bummer. But so I think he'll be back in there. But the 2 games that they played were close enough. It felt like UAB had every chance to win. It's not like a matchup that they can't handle. So I do kind of lean towards UAB in the way that they're playing right now.
Yeah, I would too. In Walker, we trust. And then that half-court offense is playing good enough now that I think they would take the third. The
caveat I would say is, like, is this venue conducive to the grinding half-court teams? Like, is it...
Yeah.
Oh, it's harder to score. North Texas lives in that muck. Charlotte lives in that muck. Maybe it's good for them. We'll see.
Yeah, what was that game? Last year, North Texas, I took La Tech against them. La Tech won 42-36. That was the final score in the semis.
Ridiculous. And 2 years ago, they played Western Kentucky, and it was 48-48 to go to overtime. And like, there's been some ugly games in this tournament.
Oh, I had Western Kentucky in that game. That was painful. It was La Tech was down 7-2, 10 minutes in. And then they led 21-13 at the half. Just an amazing under venue. And they ended up winning 42-36. I got to ask you about Western Kentucky. Like, they have talent. Is Frampton just that important? Like, what is wrong with them?
Man, I guess. I don't know. Because they're before I took them partially because North Texas was locked in their seed, and Western Kentucky's 42-26, or now 42-27 against the spread as a dog under Stansbury. That's when that talent rises up and competes. It's kind of what you said about Memphis playing Houston. They rise up against opposite talent level, but it seems like that's just not going to be the case with this year's Hilltopper squad.
Yeah, I can't make a case for them. They have talent. I can't. They also have no depth. But I mean, you got to say you have a 7'5" kid in Sharp. They have talent on the outside. It's just yeah, there's just something that's off. Who would you prefer? Like, say you were an FAU backer, would you prefer them against North Texas or UAB? Do you think one or the other has a better chance of matching up better or beating FAU? Because they're
I
completely
would,
different styles.
yeah, I would be a little more scared of UAB. UAB's had them both games. Like they did beat them once in the first game. They kind of had them in Boca Raton, and Florida Atlantic made a couple shots late. Like it was a 82-76 lead with 3 minutes left, and UAB just couldn't score in the final couple of minutes, which is really rare for them. I think UAB is more scary to me with FAU. The nice part is that they're in no matter what, and I kind of want two bids out of this league. So I'm going to be I love FAU, but I'm going to be cheering against them.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, are they 100%? I would assume.
I think
I would
so.
assume they're 100%, right? Or because they're not going to be one of those weird, like when VCU got left off. Remember that year? They were like
Yeah,
18th on KenPom and they got left off.
I don't think it'll happen. I think they're safe.
And then final question here is FAU, UAB, North Texas. Obviously, it's matchup dependent, but if you were like doing a Calcutta right now, and you knew all three were going to make the tournament, say in a hypothetical world, who would you be looking to buy?
I think I'd take FAU. I just love the different weapons they have. Like it's not one or two guys. They don't need a Jelly Walker 35-point game to beat a better team. And
Yep.
UAB's history against power conference competition is not very good, despite
Yep.
having a lot of that talent. And FAU, man, they beat Florida at Florida. That's the best win. Castleton was playing in that game. And they've got like the two centers plus 7 shooters and playmakers. Like it is such a fun makeup of a roster. I love the Owls.
Yeah, they just have a number of guys that on any given night. Like if someone's off, it doesn't really matter. Someone else can step up and go off.
Yep.